we immediately have some fan questions. So we'll start with those and then we'll move on to my own.
Let's do it. Yep.
Right. So we have David who's asking about your work and training dynamics. Now, I personally know that you're also coaching and of course with the YouTube and all of that, but I know what he's asking and it's more of a, quotes, a normal, typical job. So was there ever a time in your life when you had to like work a normal job and also worry about training?
Sure. Yeah. So I've never had a job that hasn't had something to do with cycling. In high school, I worked in a bike shop, and then my job immediately after college was working at CTS as a cycling coach. And then when I started the YouTube channel, I was able to get enough clients through the YouTube channel that I didn't really need CTS, and I broke off on my own. And my income now, there's kind of three sources of income. One is being a professional bike racer, and sponsors pay me to race bikes, and every once in a while I do well at a bike race and I get some prize money too. And that's a source of income. And then there's the coaching, which is a source of income. And then YouTube actually pays creators for making videos. Every time you see one of those ads that pops up before a YouTube video,
of course, yeah,
YouTube is actually splitting that ad money with the creator. So there's a little bit of income that comes from that as well. So I think going back to the question, how do I balance training with training?
Work? Yeah. Well, I guess you have it pretty nicely set up, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess how I do it is I'll be honest, training takes priority over any other work for me, and I know that other people don't have that luxury, and they don't have the luxury of creating their own schedule for work. Some people do, some people don't, but I will make sure that I get in my training, that I'm getting in my training for the day before I'm doing any other work. And it usually works out fine. I mean, there's usually enough time in the day. I do wish that I could get out videos at a quicker rate, and it gets hard to get out videos at a quick rate when I'm traveling for racing so much. But I mean, just as an example, like let's say I'm trying to finish up a video, but I've also got a 6-hour ride to do. I'm going to do the 6-hour ride and then worry about finishing up the video.
Like a true athlete. I like that. That's a good attitude. I like that. Just finish your priorities first and then worry about the rest. That's a good way to go. We have Boyan asking about the periods of time off the bike, and he's asking specifically before seasons, I guess. So how long is your complete time off the bike before you start training base, and do you do some cross training in that period? What would that be?
Yeah. So after the last race of the year, this has been my typical off season for, I don't know, the past 5 or 6 years. And this can change depending on what your race schedule looks like, or what your training goals are, or what your season looked like. This is not what I'm about to tell you. What my off season looks like is not necessarily the exact prescription that everyone should follow, but I would say it's probably something that a lot of people would be successful with. After the last race of the season, I take 2 weeks completely off the bike, and in that 2 weeks, I don't do any physical activity. I don't run, I don't lift. I go a little stir crazy and I start walking around the neighborhood, but but that's just because I'm starved for physical activity, because there's so much physical activity in my life on a normal basis. It's actually, it's relieving at first. The first 3 to 4 days, it's relieving to not have to train, but after that, I just want to train so badly.
It gets too stressful.
Yeah. So that's 2 weeks completely off the bike and no other physical activity. And then after that 2 weeks if I've got enough time, there's about a 2-month period before I start base training after that 2 weeks. And I call that the off season. Some people call it there are different terms for what that is.
2 months before you start base training, and in those 2 months is just whatever goes?
So it's a little bit whatever goes. I would say on the bike, it's whatever goes. The volume is low and the intensity is low. Yeah, the structure on the bike, there's not a lot of structure during this period. And I actually think it's good to have a time of the year that's not structured. But what is structured is me getting back in the gym and And that's part of why the volume and the intensity needs to be low during this time. It's because at this point, because I've had a busy race season, I probably haven't been in the gym for a while. I mean, for example, this year I hadn't been in the gym since I think May, so quite a while. Getting back in the gym, I'm very sore. It's hard to do anything on the bike, and I'm gradually increasing the weight and increasing, the number of sets I'm doing, and each gym workout is progressively harder than the next one, which means that I'm constantly sore, and doing anything hard on the bike is very challenging when you're doing that. So, it's not necessarily a period of time to just slack off, I would say. You can have fun on the bike, but I really encourage people, if they're gonna do weightlifting, to improve their cycling performance. And I have probably 4 or 5 videos on this point about weightlifting and how it improves cycling performance. It's probably the topic I've talked about the most on my channel. If you're gonna do it, you need to do it in kind of an off season. If you just start weightlifting in the middle of your season, when your intensity is high and your volume is high and you're trying to race, it's not going to work out well for you.
Yeah, it might even hurt you. Yeah, that's right. And that goes for Antonio. That was our last question. Antonio, thanks for everybody else for these questions. It kind of adds some variety in my podcast. Oh, no. I have one more, and this is from my wife, who, by the way, has zero interest in cycling. Mm-hmm. She wants to know, what do you do for fun, and cycling doesn't count?
What do I do for fun and cycling doesn't count? I'm going to be honest. Most of my time is spent either coaching, working on YouTube videos, or cycling. If I'm not doing one of those 3 things, I'm probably watching Netflix with my girlfriend.
Okay, well, then that's fun.
Sure.
Let's say that's the one.